From being strictly against nudity in a highly traumatic scene, to the actor's wrists actually getting cut up while filming himself getting flogged, here's Sam Heughan revealing the Outlander scenes he hates. One scene that left a big mark on Heughan while filming was when he goes through a horrifying experience with Black Jack Randall. The actor has talked about this scene countless times before. Considering it's a highly controversial one, and the sheer violence in the scene has started many conversations online. But while Sam said he enjoyed being part of something that isn't talked about much on TV, he also did have a major issue with the unnecessary shot. In his book Waypoints, Heughan reveals that his contract included a clause in which he agreed to film nude scenes. But that didn't stop him from pushing back when he was expected to strip down during the Wentworth prison scene. This is because he felt that it was sexualizing a truly horrific experience, which was not okay. The actor admits that Outlander doesn't shy away from depicting sexual violence because, let's not forget, the show is supposed to be a reflection of the era it portrays. But he also believed that sometimes when you want to make something difficult to watch, like the scene where his character gets tortured by Black Jack, people forget that showing less actually makes more of an impact. The thing is, at the time, the crew wanted to make that cut difficult to watch, but they also thought it was important not to shy away from showing the act itself. In the end, they filmed Heughan naked in the aftermath of the assault, showing him sprawled on the dungeon stones in a state of absolute defeat. It was an intense and emotionally draining experience for Sam, even though the nude shots were eventually left out of the final cut. Looking back, the actor realized that he did feel a bit betrayed by the creative team because some nude shots were still included even though he asked for them to be cut. He also said that times have changed now, and he firmly believes that we don't need to see the horror explicitly to understand what the characters go through. On the other hand, there are some scenes where we need actors to really get into their roles to make something seem as believable as possible. Except that when Heughan tried to make himself seem sick during a scene, but he actually got sick. In Season 3 of Outlander, Jamie spends quite a bit of time on the Artemis as he and Claire head to Jamaica. Now, even though they weren't actually filming at sea, it still wasn't a glamorous time for Sam. And when author Diana Gable Dunn visited the set in South Africa, she realized just how uncomfortable it must have been for the actor to film once she witnessed how the crew created the seasickness scenes. Turns out, the production team gave Heughan some drink that had green-tinted egg whites mixed with some truly disgusting vanilla essence. And the actor had to put it in his mouth until it was time to simulate throwing up. How disgusting is that? He even told Gabaldon that he genuinely felt like he was going to be sick. I mean, the drink was so bad that the Scottish actor had to recover from it even when they had done filming. I don't know about you guys, but that's some true commitment right there. Then there was also a time when filming on set was dragged on for way too long and was made more difficult because of Heughan's co-star getting pregnant. According to Sam, Katrina Balfe's pregnancy was pretty noticeable when they were filming Season 6, and it brought about its fair share of challenges. The biggest one was that they had to change their filming schedules dramatically. You see, Balfe discovered she was pregnant while she was still playing her character on set. And when that news broke out, the production team knew they had to kick it into high gear and speed up filming before her belly became too big. I mean, they couldn't have Claire sporting a baby bump when it wasn't part of the storyline yet, right? But this meant that because Katrina had to film for long hours, Heughan also had to, because he was there with her in most scenes. On top of that, let's not forget that the season was being filmed during the pandemic and it was winter. So, the way Sam put it, he and Katrina had to shoot for a solid 14 hours each day. And they also had to reshoot many of those scenes later. Now, while Heughan assured us that they made it through despite the hurdles, he also admitted that surviving in those 6 months was super hard, and it's crazy that they actually managed to pull it off. But this wasn't the only time Sam and his fellow cast members had to go through some terrible winters during the filming process. The second time happened when they were filming Season 7 in Scotland. And let me tell you, Sam has been quite vocal about what he finds to be the worst thing about shooting in Scotland during winter. In an interview, Heughan said that at night, Scotland has some of the most bone-chilling temperatures, and filming during those times was an absolute nightmare. He even gave us some numbers to emphasize the severity, saying that the crew and cast have to survive out there under -12 degrees Celsius. That's definitely not the kind of weather you want to be caught in without a cozy jacket and a hot cup of cocoa, folks. But it's clear that the Outlander's production team will go above and beyond to make sure a scene seems as genuine as possible to the viewers. Even if it means that our beloved Heughan gets a few bruises and cuts here and there. Yep, you heard that right. Remember the scene when Jamie was getting brutally flogged by Blackjack? Well, while the character was under some gut-wrenching pain, things weren't going that well for the actor in real life either. Can you believe that the production for that gruesome flashback took a full day to film? Showrunner Ronald Moore broke the scene down for us and mentioned that they shot it at an old stone fort near the sea, which presented some unexpected challenges. That day, the wind had some weird patterns, with one corner being a windstorm and another being completely still, and that's the reason why it took so long to shoot the scene. But it was even more challenging for Heughan, who had to stand there completely shirtless in freezing conditions. The actor recalled how he was shaking from the wind and cold, but it actually worked in his favor because it looked like Jamie, in that scene, was shuddering because of the pain. Yeesh, I bet knowing that the Scottish actor was actually freezing in that scene definitely changes the way you see the scene now. What's worse is that during a previous whipping scene in episode 2, Heughan actually got hit and ended up with welts on his back even though he had protective padding on. To avoid any accidental contact between the weapon and the actor this time around, Tobias Menzies, who plays Blackjack Randall, received a crash course on how to handle a whip. The idea was for him to make it seem like he was giving a flogging without actually inflicting any pain on poor Sam. Remember, safety first, folks. During filming, Menzies used both a cat-o'-nine-tails and a stick without a whip, depending on the shot. The actor would then aim just short of Heughan to make sure there was no contact. Then someone else would make the sound of the whip striking, and Sam would react to that. Getting that coordination right was pretty hectic for the Scottish actor, who was kinda just trying to keep his head straight in that weather. And he said it was also exhausting because the makeup crew would come and change up the way his wounds looked to match the number of times he was getting flogged in at a given time. Apart from that, while Sam was spared from the lash this time, it's not like he didn't emerge from the scene unscathed. In one part, his character had to hang by his wrists and shackled to a post with real chains. Being in that position, while his body weight pulled down his wrists, ended up causing some damage to his arms. The Scottish actor revealed that his wrists got all cut up, and his shoulders were pretty sore afterward. Man, I guess that's the price of bringing intense scenes to life, right? So there you have it. From the actor's wrists actually getting cut up while filming himself getting flogged, to being strictly against nudity in a highly traumatic scene, that was Sam Heughan revealing the Outlander scenes he hates.
I prefer to work on a blank canvas. It makes one more able to mark the progress of the damage inflicted. You're shaking.